Well, today I'm in a Toyota Prius. This is the 2022 XLE trim. And yeah, you know, there's a decent amount to say and a decent amount that's expected. So let's get into it. Hey folks, welcome back to techgooch, and today I'm in a 2022 Toyota Prius. First, this is the XLE trim. This is an all-wheel drive model, and there's a lot to love. There's a lot to think, you know. When I was younger, my parents had some of the earlier Prius models, and of course, when you look at a vehicle like this, you're pretty much looking at the efficiency of it. You're not driving this because it's a rocket. You're not driving this because it's so comfortable or because it's roomy or anything like that. You're also really not driving this because of how techy it feels. It definitely, I'm sure, felt really, and it did when I was younger, felt pretty techy. And some of the newer ones with the larger screens on them feel more so, but this feels fairly simple, other than the fact that we do have some more information on, you know, the battery level and efficiency wise but not as techy as some of the newest modern vehicles out there, if I'm going to be honest about it. It has a lot of driving features that actually work pretty good. Not perfect in my take on it and my experience so far, and I'm going to go over those here shortly. But like always, what we're going to do is we're going to step outside, we're going to get a look at the outside of the vehicle, we're going to look at the inside of the vehicle, and then I'm going to get my thoughts on everything that I've experienced so far. I've had this for almost a week now. I have put on quite a few miles on the highway because this was designed for efficiency. And so if you're buying something for efficiency, you're either A, want something that's really efficient in town, or B, you want something that's really efficient on the highway. This kind of sits in both realms, kind of, and so I think one more than the other. And of course, it also would definitely depend on the topography of the area you reside in, how efficient it's going to be. I've actually seen quite a bit of drag down in my efficiency because of where I live, I think, more than anything else. Yes, it's winter, right? You can see the snow out there, and it is colder, and that's going to bring things down. However, we have a lot of hills here on the Mississippi, and lots of hills. This engine is not the super most powerful in the world, so you're dragging it out of efficiency mode a lot coming up them. And so in town driving, in a lot of hill areas, you're not going to get, well, I'm not really even getting close to what it's supposed to be rated at for in-city driving. So it's really going to depend on a lot of things in the area that you drive. But that said, I'm going to stop up here. Let's get outside. Let's look at the vehicle outside. Then let's jump in. I'll show you how everything's laid out here. And then we'll go into my thoughts on the vehicle, of what I've come to expect so far. So let's do that. So here we are on the outside. The vehicle is running, but you can hear the engine is not currently running because it doesn't need to. The battery's basically charged up so we can keep everything going on the inside. If we were out here, you would definitely hear it start if it needed to. Oh, there it goes. There we go. So, but look-wise, look at the Prius, pretty solid. You're probably used to the look, to be honest now. I personally think that the new Prius Prime, the 22 Prime model, has a better front end, in my opinion. I think the inside is almost essentially the same, but the Prime has the plug-in hybrid, so that's going to be the one that you're going to get 24 miles, I think, of just pure electric range before you get into the gasoline engine having to kick on. This, not so much. This is just like your standard hybrid that Toyota's been known for a while. So let's go ahead and get around. The hybrid badge there on the side. Like I said, this is the XLE trim. It's going to change a little bit depending on which one you want, and of course it does have the all-wheel drive, or the all-wheel drive E. You can tell that I've got some miles on it. It's nice and dirty. Lots of sensors on the front bumper, on the rear bumper. It lets you know if you're gonna run into something, or because this is not gonna have the camera, the 360 camera, which I do wish it did have, but let's go ahead and jump in the front. Okay, so I got my tripod and stuff in here too yet. But that said, all right, so now we're gonna talk about the layout. So let's start on the left to right like we usually do. Windows, everything on the door, pretty standard here. We do have information down here, parking sensors. We do have here is going to be your traction control system, things like that, automatic headlights. The HUD, there are different HUD modes as well, rather than just being on and off. So if I bring my camera up here, kind of focus in, I can take it off, I can bring it on, and it'll have different modes. So there you can see the different modes. Maybe I can get the focus better so you can actually see it better. There we go. How about that? So I'll turn it back off again, on, and then you can see the lane mode. If we're doing the lane guidance, I can turn that off or have it on. That's on the steering wheel, or I actually see the battery meter. So that's the HUD, and that is adjustable down here with that button. We do have our fuel door down here as well. Sorry about that. So we do have our fuel door down here as well. And one thing I'm amazed that they still do have is a actual parking brake, manual pedal parking brake. That, in my opinion, should be an electric parking brake now, especially on this vehicle, but it is what it is. That said, I do like the vents. I do like the fit and finish where it actually, you can see it curve into the door here. Looks awesome in my opinion. Good door handles there. Steering wheel. You're going to have your controls, audio controls, things like that here. Trip meter, which is going to actually come up here on the screen. We'll do that here in a second. Call buttons, talk, speech mode there. Heated steering wheel, which is weird to have it on the steering wheel, but it is there. This is your controls for the screen up there. And our stick down here, which personally, I love these stick-based speed control systems. I think they work great. And I do like that. I wish they were less going away from that and sticking with those, because they're just fantastic in my opinion. And then the standard turn signals and knobs there for the windshield wipers. Now this does have auto windshield wipers. You can see there, so we're mist off. Let's see if you can see that. Mist off, auto, and then low, and then you can change the speed of that auto mode as well. So for your intermittent wipers, and then for the rear as well. All right, so let's focus on the screen up here. Let me get set up here. Okay, that's a little bit better. So here you can see what we have. We're not driving at all. We're 0 miles an hour. We can see the tank is basically full. That yellow bar is giving us that. It's 38 degrees outside. We are in eco mode. I can change that. I'll show you where the drive mode button is, but if I hit that drive mode button, there's normal, power mode versus eco mode. Trip B right now, I can hit that trip button that's on the steering wheel, and I can change between the trips. So 2.4 miles is my last distance I just drove. 371 miles till empty, and then nothing, and then back to odometer, as well as trip A, trip B, and it just cycles through. Push and hold that trip button, it'll reset that. So right there, if I push and hold right here, it'll reset that. Okay. Over here is this. There's two screens. So that's screen A, and now let's call this one screen B. This is going to be actually from the directional pad on the right hand side of the steering wheel. I can actually cycle through these. Right, I can change what I want to see, information on the score of driving or the fan modes and how it's directed. I can see the lane when we're actually going down the highway, for lane guidance, messages, setup. I can change any of the settings. Standard Toyota stuff here, to be honest about. You can just turn off parking modes and sensors and things like that. So that's what I've been keeping on, is pretty much the HV system. It gives you a driver score every time you drive. And the nice thing is, and I'll show you that here in a little bit, you can see the meter, the power meter, and so you know how much fuel you're consuming, but also you can feel really how efficient you're driving as well. Right now we're in park. If I used the drive stick down here to go between reverse, neutral, and drive, or you can do brake mode. So if you're heading down a long hill and you don't want to put the brakes on, you could just put it in brake mode, and it'll slow you down over long distance. And then just information, just light up sensors for anything like that. If there's people in the back seat, there'll be sensors back there that, hey, there's weight in the back seat, or at least something's been triggered in the back seat, things like that. Right now, I don't have my seatbelt on. It's telling me, hey, you don't have your seatbelt on. And of course, clock. So that's the upper display. I'm gonna get this phone mount out of the way. Sorry about that. And we have our vents. This is actually where our hazard lights are. And then we have the traditional smallish display from Toyota. It's the same display that's really in my van. This does not have maps on it, but if you have your phone plugged in with CarPlay and you hit the map button, it will go to Apple's CarPlay maps. I'm sure the same thing with Android Auto. So that is nice. However, it feels dated. I'll be honest, it just feels dated because everything is going a lot more modern, a lot larger display. This feels dated to me, specifically in a modern vehicle like the Prius really kind of should be. I think they really need to do a significant update on here. It's not that I don't like the car, I really do, but there's some technology stuff that I think they could definitely use an update on. That said, I do like the climate control system here. Real quick and easy, you know, to adjust the temperature. It's getting a little warm in here anyway. Auto mode, we can turn on the defrost modes real quick and easy. And then if you turn it off, since I had it in auto, it'll automatically go back. We can change how efficient we use the heating and cooling system, so we can put it in eco mode, AC on off, your standard stuff, right? So this really isn't anything new. It's pretty simple. Down here, this is our drive selection. So if I put my foot on the brake, I push it over and down for drive. Now I'm in drive. You can see up there I'm in drive. If I hit the button over here, that puts me in park. Same thing with reverse, is just up. And reverse brings the backup camera real quick. It does not show you the direction of the backup as you adjust the steering wheel. You can see I'm moving the steering wheel, but nothing's changing on the display. I wish that would change. And then of course you can hear the hum of the electricity going through it. And then of course park. Drive mode, like I was showing you before, that's the button I was clicking to change the drive mode. And then EV mode, you can actually kind of do that silent. Let's see if it'll say, where does it say? Yeah, there it is, right up there. EV mode, right there. So EV mode allows you to start off. I think you can only go so fast with it, but it won't start the engine at all. It allows you to creep through a neighborhood at night without anybody hearing you, essentially. So that's what that is. Down here we have our Qi charger, which hates my MagSafe case on my iPhone. It'll start and then it'll die like every other Toyota vehicle. They really need to get these things fixed. The heated seats on the front, low, high, and then off, right? So pretty simplistic, but I do like that it remembers if I had it on high, it will be on high because it's a literal switch. I do like that. And then we have two cup holders here. This is my cable, which I do have plugged in here for my CarPlay. So there's one USB port here, just one. And then we have a DC port there. You can tell there's no other USB ports here at all, which I don't like. And then if we look in here, there's a little tray, you know, nothing really in there either. So for what it is, I understand they have the Qi charger, but it doesn't work with all phones. There should be at least two USB A or C ports in here as well. I think that's one of the things they're definitely missing. So let's go to the glove box. You know, nothing too crazy, nothing too big, nothing too small, just about right. But there is an actual Prius manual that comes with the vehicle, so that's always a plus. Let's look at the back seat. Okay, so I have the seat set to where I like it for my height. And the thing about this vehicle is plenty of legroom in the back. For as what this vehicle is, I was super impressed by that. We do have two USB-A ports back here for the people in the back, so at least they get to charge their phones. And in the middle here in the third seat option, standard cup holders. So pretty standard here, works well. Now, this model does not have anything in there for basically a sunroof or anything. So a little disappointing there, but of course that can just vary on the trim. And I didn't show the lights and the SOS button there, but it is there along with a sunglass case holder there. So didn't show that, sorry. Headrests, I did say this when I was doing my Chicago Auto Show videos. I was amazed at how many of the headrests in some of the vehicles were really obtrusive for the people in the rear. Not too bad here, but it is what it is. So, that said, let's open up the trunk. So we have a nice, soft, retractable, kind of tonneau type cover, I guess, as it is. So you can load up more stuff, but obviously if you don't need that much room, you can just load up under there, and people won't see your stuff while you're out and about. So I do like stuff like this. I like it a lot, especially because it's easy to retract, as well as you can actually pull this fully out, right? So it's, let's see, from this side, or is it from that side? So you can pull it fully out, right? Also, storage-wise, here, we do have a little bit of storage back down here with you, especially with your kit and stuff, but they do give you some extra bins if you have other things that you want to put in there. So that's handy. As well as you can see, that's where that tonneau cover kind of bar, that'll store down here as well if you don't want to use it. So that is the back with a nice carpeted liner, and I'll pull this back over too. And we do have some accessory hooks. So there we go. That's that. And there's an accessory hook on the other side too. I did want to show real quick what CarPlay looks like on this. It is, like I said, a smaller radio. I have my phone plugged in. If I go to menu, I can see the CarPlay part here. There's CarPlay. Like I said, if I hit the map button, it'll actually bring up maps. So that's always nice. And then I can go back to the home and click right back out of it. So quick and easy, and it works really well. So I did want to show you this while I was driving, at least, what that power mode meter looks like. So you can see right now I'm below the eco line, but if I was to floor it, it'll jump right up in the power section, right? And so you kind of float, and you're trying to stick within that, 0 to eco mode there to keep it as efficient as possible. And then it gives you that score down there based on your driving. So basically telling you how efficient you are, and it tells you between your acceleration, your driving, and then your deceleration or your braking as well. Gives you a lit score. So right now I haven't braked yet, but if I start braking, I believe that should pop up when I stop, probably. So I stop, and there you can tell, hey, you didn't do a very good job braking, which I didn't. I agree. I just kind of stopped it real quick. But that's the meter. So there's a lot to like about this vehicle, efficiency-wise and everything. This vehicle in this XLE all-wheel drive model, which is all-wheel drive with this Prius architecture, I'll tell you what they tell you you're supposed to get is probably the best way to start with it. So they tell you you're supposed to get 47 on the highway, 51 in the city. I did not get either of those numbers actually in my exact scenario. So 51 city, I could see it actually doing 51 in the city if I was in a flat city, and I was doing standard city driving on in flat city. In my city here in Dubuque, Iowa, which has a lot of hills, and I am constantly going up and down because I live at the crest of the hill, and anytime you go to the grocery store or anything, you're going all the way to the bottom, and then right back up, and then all the way to the bottom, and then right back up, and doing a lot of that. So I was getting in the city around 40 to 45. There was a time there I was getting below 40, but I think on average I would say 42 to 44 is probably what I was averaging in my city. On the highway, which I did a lot of highway driving on this because I knew I was getting the Prius and I really wanted to get a highway number, I did not get 47. I got 53. So look, it's going to depend on a lot of things. And I will say this, that highway driving wasn't just like 55 mile an hour highway driving. I went on the interstate at 70 miles an hour. I understand that those EPA numbers are not drastically accurate, specifically for time of year, like I said, topography, or your type of driving. And of course, almost all of that highway driving was done in cruise control. So that is something to say. But I did expect to get better in the city. So my last little bit, the last 30 miles I've been driving, which was the last 20, actually it was like 22 or 24 miles or whatever it was, I was below 40 miles to the gallon for average. Actually, for the first little bit, I was sitting there at like 30, and I was like, what in the heck? But of course, it was just because it was a lot of uphill driving. So it equates out, and I think in town, in a high topography area, in mid-40s is something to consider. Highway, though, I think you can definitely get over 50 with no problems. Now, of course, that's only me in the vehicle. That's not a whole lot of people, so that'll vary depending on how many people you're putting in the vehicle as well. So, that said, it is what it is. The other thing I wanted to put in, though, is that this does have lane assist. So, you could see when we were looking at it earlier, it'll try to keep you in the lane if you have that turned on. And I had it turned on, and I tried to test it out in all vehicles that I have. My truck that I had, my Tacoma that I actually just sold, did not have it. My Sienna that my wife drives, that does have it. It's very, just kind of a little nudge here or there. It does not really try to keep you in the center. It just, if you start drifting out, it nudges you a little bit to remind you to keep yourself in the center. And of course, modern vehicles, they're doing a pretty good job of trying to keep you in the center of the lane automatically without you having to actually do it. You just got to keep your hands on the wheels. It'll definitely chirp at you if you don't. It's not self-driving or anything, but it tries to keep you down the lane for you, and all you got to do is monitor the system. And I like that a lot. It definitely takes a lot of the stress out of driving. However, with this specific vehicle, it was almost as stressful as if I didn't have it on, because I felt like I was fighting the system a lot, because I felt more ping-pong-ish in this specific car than I have in any other self or driving assisted car to date. I wish I would have taken a video, but of course I was driving and I didn't have my tripod or anything, and it's weird because it would kind of keep you in the center, and then you could feel it correct to the left, and then it would kind of correct to the left, and then it almost correct too much to the left. Now it's got to go correct to the right, and now it's really got to correct to the left. It was just weird. Not unsafe, not like holy cow, but it felt like I was ping-ponging down the lane. I don't know if there's a sensor that's dirty on this vehicle, or if all Priuses are like that. I don't know, but I will say this: I was less satisfied with the driving assistant in this vehicle than I have in almost anything yet. I actually like the one in my van better, because even though it doesn't keep me in the center lane, it just gives me a little nudge here and there, but I'm not fighting it. I felt like I was fighting this sometimes. Not unsafe fighting, I will say that, but annoyance, just annoying. And I use that driving assist feature for 300 miles, and I was not satisfied with how it worked or how it operated. So that is something I definitely wanted to bring up in this video. I hope it's a fluke. I hope it's something that's just off on this specific one or whatever, but it's the only vehicle to date that I have had a driving assistant feature that helps make things more safe. It's supposed to make you feel more relaxed because you're not constantly doing it yourself. It didn't make me feel more relaxed. So, yeah, that's something to say, I guess. Okay, it's getting a little dark outside, but we can still do our luggage test quick. So I'm going to first do it with the tonneau roll cover just still in place. I'll pull the cover back a little bit. 1, 2, 3, 4. Definitely all 4 under the cover. There's that. And the thing is that you could get more in here because you can still stack bags on top because we still have all the way to the glass, which if we look at here is a lot of room. So much room, in fact. I put a whole other suitcase up there, which means you could probably get maybe another one. I don't think it's going to be enough to get here. No, it's too thick. But that works. That's awesome. So that is the 2022 Toyota Prius all-wheel drive XLE. Now I have not been in a whole lot of Priuses. I did check out the Prius Prime in the limited trim. It was a vehicle that I was actually looking at purchasing myself. I ended up changing my mind because you just can't find them, first of all, and I also wanted something with a little more sportiness to it. As much as I want a efficient vehicle like this would be, or the Prius Prime definitely is, I wanted something with more pep. Because, let's be honest, you're not buying a Prius because you want pep because it's not there. But that said, I think there's a lot to love. I really do. You know, you can tell why people love their Prius when they get it because it drives really good. It's not too noisy or anything. Really good efficient, so it's saving you a boatload of money in your wallet. All without having range anxiety that you could have with an electric vehicle. I think more than anything else, the EVs are it's just a lot to get used to, and some people just don't want to get used to that. So that said, guys, I want to say thank you for watching here to the end. If you haven't watched, I made I think it was like 8 or 10 videos on the Chicago Auto Show. So I did post those not too long ago. So if you have time to check those out, they're just quick snippets at a whole bunch of really cool vehicles that I saw at the show. And more than anything, it was just me getting used to doing these quick snippet videos rather than these review videos that I do on full vehicle reviews. So I want to do more of that in the future. And of course, I'm just learning how I want to do this stuff. And I want to say thank you if you stick to the end. I really do. I really appreciate it. If you have time, hit the subscribe, hit the like, hit the share button if you can for me. I appreciate it. And if you have recommendations for vehicles that I could try to get, I'm all ears. So thanks for watching. Thanks for sticking to the end. Catch you on the next one. See you soon.